Well, who'd have believed it? This is really just fascinating, people, because it appears as if, day in and day out, so it must be true, and it appears as if it's this way, that we have got to lock down. We have got to go through everything that we're doing to make sure that we defeat the coronavirus. But here's what's kind of amazing is that it appears as if Sweden, which generally speaking didn't do much of a lockdown, didn't really require a mask. Well, they've already defeated COVID. And we're talking about, if you listen to our media, we're still months and months and months away, at least until the elections, before we defeat COVID. Which, of course, brings up the question, why do we have to defeat it? With, what, less than a 1% fatality rate? I don't know. But, hey, that's our government. They're looking out for us. They are protecting the shit out of us, whether we like it or not. This is out of Sweden. After months without lockdowns, school closures, and other mitigating measures widely imposed across the world, Sweden's coronavirus cases and deaths have fallen to such minimal levels as to revive the debate over its so-called herd immunity strategy, which, by the way, with the masks and the route that we're taking, we're minimizing our chances of developing herd immunity. So, again, in America, according to Big Pharma, because Big Pharma wants it, their strategy is to get a vaccine. Sweden's strategy has been to develop herd immunity. And since they pretty much defeated COVID, I'm kind of going with Sweden on this one. Some Swedish officials are far from declaring victory, warning there could be a second wave and that too many elderly died in the country during this comparatively lax pandemic restriction. The country's population-adjusted death rate, meanwhile, is in the top 10 worldwide, but lower than rates for Italy, Spain, and even New York, where heavy lockdowns prevailed. And the dramatic drop in new cases and deaths in the country point to a rapidly improving situation. There, in defiance of many earlier predictions, the Swedish government has engaged in minimal intervention and imposed relatively few restrictions upon its citizens for the duration of the pandemic. Yet the so-called Swedish model, which, ask anybody in mainstream media, they're going to tell you, Swedish model has for months drawn alarm and derision from countless World Health authorities. Now, remember, this is World Health authorities because there is a growing number of local, in the United States, health authorities, which you can't find because they've been scrubbed from the internet, have been speaking out against Fauci's plan. Many have insisted that sweeping open-ended restrictions on social and economic activity, including lockdowns, strict social distancing measures, and mandatory face mask orders, are only practical methods by which the coronavirus can be halted. Though there is relatively little evidence to support such measures, many governments, particularly those in Western Europe and the United States, have for several months imposed such orders on their respective citizens, with numerous European heads of state and U.S. governors indicating that these measures may remain in place until an effective vaccine is developed, a process that could take years, if ever, to come to fruition. Now, this is according to the World Health Organization. Sweden's daily death peaked in late April at 185 and have been declining ever since. On some recent days, the country has recorded as few as 9 deaths. Daily new cases were in the low to mid hundreds for most of July, and a few days, no cases were recorded at all. Now, here's one of the most amazing things. We know this now because we have the stats out of Sweden, and yet does America want to change its course? I mean, when you take into consideration the increase in suicides, the increase in depression, children falling behind in school, I think the Sweden approach is probably better, considering that they pretty much defeated the virus. And yet our government, Fauci, the CDC, doesn't want to do it. Makes one wonder if there's probably or maybe another reason why they want to take this route. I'm John Masters, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, and it looks like a duck, then by God, it's a duck.